Okay, so we're in Sydney, home of the funnel web spider. If you get bitten by it, you've got 1 hour to get yourself to hospital or you will die. Sydney was not originally going to be called Sydney, it was going to be called Albion, but the Home Secretary at the time, Lord Sydney, decided to call it after himself. 1/3 of the residents here are from overseas. The Sydney Harbour is the deepest in the world and it's home to seals, turtles and sharks, and it is the 10th most expensive city in the world, with New York and Singapore being top. Sydney is number 10.
What's your first impression? You've never seen this iconic bridge before.
Yeah, good.
Underwhelming? Overwhelmed?
It's like normal.
Just alright.
Normal, yeah.
Now, Celine has seen the Opera House for the first time. Is that more impressive?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the skyline of Sydney behind us. So now, because I'm craving a Guinness and Celine's Irish, we're going to find another Irish bar, and apparently there's one just a 4-minute walk down this way, and these are all the international cruise passengers arriving from wherever they've been. But before we go to an Irish bar, just feast your eyes on the iconic Sydney Harbour Bridge, which I read was painted grey because back in the day it was the only paint that they had a sufficient amount of, so it was grey. That was it. Not red, not yellow, but grey. But who cares? It looks really, really good. Found it. The Mercantile, which doesn't sound very Irish, but apparently it is. Let's get Guinness. Guinness in Sydney. And I've ordered traditional Irish bangers and mash. Whereas you've gone for fish and chips, an unusual choice for an Irish girl. Nice. Bangers and mash, fish and chips. Who's more Irish? Get down with it, down. Get down with the Irish people. Right, so we finished our meal. It was alright, wasn't it? Nice Guinness, but now we're going to go back to the hotel. So sightseeing will be tomorrow. Goodbye, good night, Sydney. So there's our hotel, the Mariners Court Hotel. And now we're going to go on a walking tour of Sydney. Started with Sydney just around the corner. So this is our first stop, the Garden Island Naval Dockyard. See some naval ships there. Can you see any wildlife in the water? It's quite clean. Impressed with site number 1?
Yeah.
Right, let's go to the, what's it called? Fingers Wharf. This is Fingers Wharf. Do you know what I've just read? Apparently these are really expensive, and guess who lives along one of them? The one at the end, apparently. You'll never guess. Someone famous.
Who?
Russell Crowe.
No.
That's what it says.
Way.
Russell Crowe. Look at them. They don't look, I mean they probably are expensive, but they don't look mega expensive, do they? Could be this one with the gladiator lions. Russell, you there, mate? Look, this is what it looks like. It's gotta be. This is Russell Crowe's gaff. This is what buys you, this is what you can buy when you're a Hollywood movie star. Can you believe we've actually seen where he lives?
No, I can't.
And we didn't even know until like 2 minutes ago.
Staying around the corner from Russell Crowe. Like we're Russell Crowe's neighbours.
Head back. Yeah, it's like identical.
Are you joking?
No. You're recreating art. I like it. Hello ladies. This stretch of coastal road is definitely home to the Sydney power joggers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Chill out, mate. Just calm down. Here it is. The rock. This is what we've traipsed all this way for. Is it worth this? Ah, so this is where it is. It's where the governor's wife liked to sit to watch ships, and her husband made that seat for her. But apparently the best view of Sydney is just from over there.
Oh, look at the Opera House.
That is a good view, isn't it? The Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. Right, give me another interesting fact about the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Oh, well, it was actually painted by, guess who?
No idea.
I'll give you a clue. Crocodile Dundee.
The actor?
Yeah, Paul Hogan.
So now we're going to head to the Royal Botanic Gardens, a 5-minute walk. Passing this great banyan tree, look at that. Are you impressed so far with this walk? I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a bit warm, it's about 25 degrees, but tomorrow's going to be raining, so we've got to do everything today. It's nice. So now guessing what our next stop is going to be. Such an iconic building, and you wouldn't mistake it for anywhere else. This is Sydney. And there's the second iconic site. And there's people actually on the top climbing over, but look at that.
Can we get a drink? It's very
Yeah, it's getting warm, isn't it? We're not going to be able to touch the Opera House because everywhere is blocked off. I don't know what they're doing. How annoying is this? What is happening here? This is what's happening. Essential waterproofing and paving works. Oh, there you go. We've had some lunch and it's bloody boiling. Celine just bought this to protect her head, and we walk around there to the rocks, which was where the first British settlers lived. Guy over there who's got a parrot, and he's having a bit of a fight with the whatever that other thing is. They were like proper going beak to beak, weren't they? They're not scared of people, are they? Looks suitably old, doesn't it? John Cadman was the last and longest serving superintendent of the government boats and lived in this cottage from then. So the guy who lived there, John Cadman, he stole a horse in England, got sentenced to death, but that was commuted if he agreed to be transported to Australia as a convict, which he did. He worked as a labourer, then became working on the ships, and then he ended up being a member of the Sydney Society, and that's where he lived. Just proves that you can turn your life around after having stolen a horse. So look at these line of old shops with the skyscrapers in the background. But we're going to try to find somewhere to get a coffee, keep out the sun. So we're having our coffee, and that is it. We reached the rocks. It wasn't the end of the tour, but it's as far as we're willing to walk, because there's just so much more. But we made it to the rocks and the view of the Harbour Bridge. So this is goodbye from our little walking tour of Sydney.